Now, the topic for today is let us understand the types of databases you will be having in SQL Server. Okay, so there are two types of databases in SQL Server. One is called system databases, and the other one is called user defined databases or user databases. You have master, model, tempdb, msdb. These four are called system databases. The distribution database will not be available now. The distribution database will be available when you configure your computer for replication. Replication is a feature. When you configure your server for replication, then you're going to get one more database called distribution. But by default, when you install SQL Server 2005 or 2008 or 2008 or 2012, you would be having master, model, tempdb, and MSDB. Okay, these four are called system databases: master, tempdb, model, MSDB. And as name suggested, it is not for the user or the developer or the DBE to use it. All of them will be used by the SQL Server. Let us understand what is a master database. Master database will store all your login IDs and passwords. Whenever you change your password or whenever you create a new user ID password, everything gets stored inside the master database. And system configuration settings also are defined. Other databases info is registered. When you create a new database, the new database information is registered with the master database backup. And when you restart the SQL Server, the initialization information is also available in master database. Okay, it's most important to have a recent database backup. Now, what happens if master database is deleted accidentally? This is another question. Now, when master database is deleted, then SQL Server will not start or will not reboot. So, as a DBA, you have to be very careful about master database backup, and which is heart of SQL Server. What is heart of SQL Server? Master database. If something goes wrong in a master database, definitely entire SQL Server will not be switching on. So you have to be very clear and we have to be very clear about master database. Now, the second one is known as tempdb. So as name suggests, it is used to store temporary viewer tables and temporary store procedures, temporary storage needs purpose. Okay, which is global resource. This can be used by all people who are connected to the server. Okay, for example, when you have connected to a server from US, now some tempdb space is allocated in the server, so that whenever you do any transaction or whenever you do any kind of a work with the server, the some few portion of the tempdb will be given to you. So like that, people who are connected to the server, so each and every people will have some tempdb space. Okay, so hence it is known as a global resource. Okay, recreated tempdb every time SQL Server starts. So when you create SQL, when you restart SQL Server, automatically tempdb will be deleted. When you restart the SQL Server, it is created. When you shut down, it is deleted. When you restart the computer or when you restart the SQL Server, the tempdb is created afresh. Okay, so automatically depends upon the people, depends upon the users, the size of the database would grow. Okay, which is very important to have a tempdb database for each SQL Server setup. Okay, now the next one is model DB. Template for all databases created, used during create database call. All contents of model DB is copied to the new DB. Okay, which is a template. What do you mean by template? Whenever you go to a photocopy center or Xerox center and you ask for income certificate. So when you ask for income certificate, what he does is he will be having a copy of income certificate, and that he would be using as a template, and he will make some 2 to 3 copies, and that the new copies he will be giving it to you. That means the photocopy wala or the Xerox center people would make a copy from existing income certificate. Okay, now the existing certificate is a template for that. like that. When you create a new database inside the SQL Server or Oracle, what happens is you will be having all the content of model database and simply renamed it to user databases. For example, when I say create database school, when I say create database school and execute this command, then SQL Server play a simple trick. What is the trick it will play? It will copy all the content of model database and rename it to school database. Okay. So an interview, the question asked like this: what happens when model database is deleted accidentally? When the model database is deleted accidentally, you cannot create a new database because the original copy is missing in the Xerox center. So what happens? So definitely you cannot create new databases. The second point would be that TempDB also will not be created when you restart the computer. So when you shut down the computer, TempDB would be deleted permanently. But when you restart it, model database would be copied and renamed it to TempDB. If model database is not there, you cannot create TempDB also. Okay. So this is also very important to have a model database backup with you always. Okay. Now MSDB will be used to store alerts, jobs, and operator info. Okay. These four databases not for the developer to maintain. These four databases actually will be maintained by the DBAs, database administrators. Okay, not by we. Okay. But anyhow, people would ask in interviews, what is MSDB, what is DB, what is model DB, and what is master DB. Now alerts. For example, I may create a job to the SQL Server saying that every day 5 o'clock in the morning, SQL Server is supposed to take a mass database backup. So that is a job given to the SQL Server, and the SQL Server wakes up and every day 5 o'clock, which takes a copy of the data and keeps it. So whenever it fails or whenever it is succeeded, you're supposed to get a mail or SMS from the SQL Server. So you created a job. The job is taking a backup, okay, or restore. So whenever it is succeeded or whenever it is getting failed, you're supposed to get SMS or email. For that, you're supposed to provide email IDs, phone numbers, and everything. Okay. So all these things are configured inside MSDB database. Okay. So automatically you will have a communication from SQL Server to DBA or the developer. Okay. These four are very important, but not for the developers or the programmers. These four are very important for the SQL Server DBAs. Okay. DBA means database administrators. Okay. That's for this. Now, so let us understand the next topic that is known as SQL Server data types. Okay. What do you mean by data type? Data type is there to store the data. Okay. I don't know whether you know C or C++ or not. C, C++ are the languages. In each and every language, you will have a data type. What is the purpose of a data type? Data type is used to store the data or to segregate the data in different types. Okay, let us understand what kind of data types we have in SQL Server. Okay, in SQL Server to store data, we have two kinds of data types. One is non-Unicode data. The other one is Unicode data. What do you mean by non-Unicode data? Non-Unicode data means which it supports only US English. Unicode data means it supports pure, it supports all languages. Let's understand what is the difference between Unicode and non-Unicode. Okay. Now let me take. So if I want to store any character, so character can be alphanumeric or pure alphabets or special characters, anything. Okay. If I want to store any characters inside the SQL Server, there are two things we have to understand. Okay, there are two ways you can store the data. One is we have Unicode data and you have non-Unicode data. Okay. We have Unicode characters, we have non-Unicode characters. When I say non-Unicode characters, only US English is supported. That means you can store data in English only. But I don't want to store data in English. I want to store data in Chinese. Chinese would like to store data in Chinese. Tamil people would like to write their names in Tamil. So that is the way you have to store this one. So all languages are supported. That means you can write your name in Telugu, English, Marathi, Spanish, Urdu, Chinese, Italy, Portuguese. All the languages are supported in Unicode data. Okay. In Unicode, each character will take 2 bytes of space. Whereas here, each character will take 1 byte of space. Okay, take only 1 byte of space. Okay, that is one more difference between Unicode and non-Unicode. Non-Unicode means which is only English. Unicode means which supports all languages. If you take Chinese, China, in the China nobody prefers English, but in India we prefer English. So China people definitely would have all applications are developed using Unicode characters. Okay? Now for Unicode and non-Unicode we have these many data types. For Unicode we have nchar, nvarchar and nvarchar max. Okay. So in the non-Unicode means only English. Okay. Here we have character, varchar, varchar max. Varchar, char, both of them will support maximum 8,000 characters. If you want to, have more than 8,000 characters, then you have to go in for varchar maximum. So varchar maximum supports up to 2 GB of data. So greater than 8 kilobytes and less than 2 GB if data is supported. So that is the difference between varchar 8000 and varchar max. Okay. Now below you have again nvarchar and nvarchar max. Nvarchar supports up to 4K, and if you have more than 4K, then less than 1 GB you can go in for nvarchar max. Okay. Now why is that here it is not 8K, it is 4K? Because in Unicode you have each character will take 2 bytes. 2 into 4, it is actually 8,000 bytes. But each character here would take 2 bytes. Hence uh, the size became to 4K. Okay, 4K in nchar and 4K in nvarchar. Okay, and nvarchar max also it is max up to 1 GB, but varchar max it is max up to 2 GB. Okay, so this is what is a Unicode and a non-Unicode. But people may ask, what is the difference between char or varchar or nchar or nvarchar? Nvarchar means national char, national varchar. That means what? Which supports all languages. That's it. You can write your name in Telugu, Kavya, Sharath, Bhaskar. All the names can be written in Telugu and that can be stored in SQL Server. Or all the names can be written in Hindi and you can store them in SQL Server. Okay, that means the SQL Server now supports your own language. Okay, so this is what is known as localization to globalization. Localization means what? Only pure non-Unicode. Globalization means what? It is purely Unicode characters. So people are moving towards localization. This is localization. Okay, localization. Two, people are moving towards globalization. Okay, globalization is all languages need to be supported. Okay, now .NET, SQL Server, Oracle, all people are supporting, are coming slowly from here, and they're starting and coming towards this. Okay, so localization to globalization there. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. Okay. Now let us understand what is a char and varchar. What do you mean by char and what is meant by char? Okay. So use char when you want to store. So when is that I have to use char? Use char for fixed length data. For example, you have postal code or pin numbers. Okay, postal index number always will have 6 characters, so this is fixed. So, or you can have mobile number, cell phone numbers. Cell numbers always can have in India 10 numbers. Okay, then you can go in for 10 characters. So when the size is fixed, you can go in for the character. But when size is not varying, so you can go for use varchar when the size is variable. For example, employee name. My name is Bhaskar, your name is say Kavya, and the third person name would be Sripati Pandita Radhila Balasubramanian Shastri. So what happens? I have only 5 characters, but the other person will have 100 characters. Okay, when we have sometimes 3 characters, sometimes 100 characters, then definitely you have to go in for varchar. Okay, so it is for variable length records. Variable length. The length is not same length rows. Okay, length records. You can go in for this. Okay, let us understand. If I use varchar, what happens? Let us understand. So let me take Excel sheet and explain this concept. Okay. Now I'm going to create a table called employee table. So employee ID I have and employee name I have. Then I have salary. Okay. Now one employee name say Bhaskar and salary is 1,000 rupees. Two I have say Ravi. The salary is 2,000 rupees. Okay. Now here I have a name is say care 10. So 10 means maximum which will take a characters. When I say char 10, what happens in the SQL server? SQL server stores all the data in the pages. Yesterday we discussed. So now let me take a page. So this is your table. In the table, you're inserting your data. So this is your table. Okay. Now table will have the data, but the table data is stored in a page. That's what the other day we told. So I have a page here. So in this page, I have the data just like this. So how I'll get? So I'll have one. Who's one? One is a Bhaskar. And how many characters I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. So 8, 9, 10. I will get 3 spaces there. And after that, the 1,000 is stored. Then the second is 2. Ravi. R-A-V-I 4. And you will have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 characters and the 2,000 rupees is stored. That means what? Here also we have 1, 2, 3. So, okay. That means what? Whether you use or don't use, 10 spaces are given to you because the character always will have a fixed length. But the problem is if you have a small Anu and you have Sripati Pandita Radhila Balasubramanian Shastri, then definitely you will have a lots of gaps in the SQL server. The space is unnecessarily go for wastage. Okay, this is the story about the character 10 char. But when you go for the varchar, what happens? Let us see. When you go for the varchar, okay. Now what happens is this is my page. Okay. Now when I store the data will be 1, say Bhaskar. Now immediately 1,000 rupees is stored. Then 2, say Ravi. Now then you have 2,000 rupees. That means what? How much ever data you need, how much ever space you need, only that will be allocated. The remaining space will not be given to you. This is what is known as a varchar. Varchar is good when we have one name will have 3 characters, the other name will have 100 characters. When you have the variable length records, then we have to go in for varchar. You may ask a question. Why can't we store for fixed length record also in varchar? You can also store pin code. You can also store cell phone number in varchar. Why is that? People are still using char because char is useless, right? Because anyhow, whether you use or don't use, which will give you 10 bytes of space. Okay, the remaining going waste here. The remaining are going waste here. But what about here? The remaining are not going waste because varchar, if you need only 7 characters, that will be given, but remaining spaces will not be given there. Okay. But why Microsoft is giving, even though varchar we have, Microsoft is giving still char. That means there should be a, definitely a, advantage with the char. What is advantage with the char? Let us understand now. Now, tomorrow Bhaskar comes and says, my name is not Bhaskar, my name is say Bhaskar Rao. So I go here and say I enter Rao here. When I enter Rao here, now I can simply come here and I have a space and definitely I can insert the Rao here. Okay, there is no issue. There is space, I can insert the Rao there. Okay, so here I could, but what about here? Here there is no space. Now there is a problem in the varchar. So what happens if there is no space? After Bhaskar, there is 1000 rupees, but there is no space to insert raw. So for the future modifications cannot be, done if I use varchar. For example, normally employee name will not change, but employee address will change. So you may stay in today Hyderabad. Tomorrow you may, go to Goa or go to Delhi. Initially we had 100 characters address. Now we had only 75 characters address. Or tomorrow you may have 200 characters address. So address would vary. If address is a varchar column, definitely you will have issues. Okay. So when you have modifications in the column heavily, then don't go in for varchar. Okay. So that is the difference between char and varchar. Any questions? Okay, so let us understand. Use char for fixed length and small sizes and use varchar to allow values of different sizes. Avoid varchar for frequently altered columns, for example, employee address column. Okay, employee address will have variable length records only. Your address may be 50 characters, my address may be 100 characters, but even then don't go in for the varchar there, go in for varchar. Okay. Now, to store numeric data, we have tiny int, we have small int, we have int, we have big int. What is tiny int? Tiny will take only 1 byte. You can store 0 to 255 positive numbers. For example, I would like to store employee age. So employee age cannot be more than 255, right? So you can use that. Small int, if you storing, less than 32,000, then definitely you can go in for small int. So int is, more than the small int. So 4 bytes. The range is very big. Okay, you can just go to Google it and you can understand what is the range of integer in SQL Server. Big int is more than int. Okay, like that you have here. To store decimals, we have decimal and numeric. There are 2 data types are available to store, decimals. Decimals are, will use 8 bytes. So the total 38 digits can be stored. Before decimal, after decimal put together, you can store up to 38 digits. Okay. Now approximate numeric data. Sometimes you will have recurring numbers. What do you mean by recurring numbers? Pi value or 0.333333. That is, there is no accurate value. That is a recurring number. If you wanted to store recurring numbers, you can go in for a float or real. Now, real is more accurate because the size is more, but float is less accurate. But to store pi value, to store recurring numbers, you can go in for what? Approximate numeric data. Okay. Now, to store currency, employee salary or profit like that, you can don't go in for decimals there because decimals will not have currency symbols and all. Now we will have small money and money. Small money you can store up to lakhs. Money you can store up to crores, billions, and billions. It is only the range. Okay. So to store date and time, employee data of birth, data of joining, data of leaving, all of them if you wanted to store, you can go in for the small date time 4 bytes, date time 6 bytes, date time 2, which is new in SQL Server 2008. The range is very big. Okay. If you use small date time, you can store 1900 to 2999. But if I wanted to store before 1900, 1900 hundreds, then definitely I cannot use small date time, go in for date time. So the range matters. You can just Google it, you can get the ranges. Okay. So date time 2 range would be even more bigger. Okay. Date, purely date will be stored, but date time it will store date and time both. Okay. Time will store only time. Okay. Now we have date time offset. What do you mean by date time offset? I would like to store Greenwich time plus 530 hours. Greenwich time plus minus 230 hours. Like that, I would like to store plus 530 minus 230 like that. Then we have to go in for date time offset. Okay. So all these are new in SS 2008, SQL Server 2008. Now, binary data. Binary data means I would like to store a employee picture or employee CV or employee audio file, employee video file. So I have to convert the picture into binary. The binary data can be stored. Okay. So binary 8K, where binary less than 8K, where binary max. To store pictures, media files, etc., you can go in for binary data. To migrate data from one platform to another, because I have Oracle data. Oracle data I would like to migrate, or I would like to export Oracle data to SQL Server. The best thing is that you migrate it to binary. Binary means zeros and ones. Okay. So it is very easy for you to migrate from one SAP to SQL Server, SQL to SAP. If you want to migrate, go in for binary data. Okay. Then we have special data type. We have a timestamp data type. So indicate activity known as row version column changed whenever a row is modified, not related to date and time updated by SQL Server engine itself. Okay. Only one per table. So what is the timestamp column? So whenever we have a critical data. Now let me explain you this. So I have a critical data. I have a flight number, and I have angle in which we supposed to take off, or then there is a row history or the row number. Okay. Now flight number, let me say 64E123. This flight supposed to take off in this angle. Okay. So when you insert the data like this, so what happens is the flight number, let me say 1234. Sorry. Okay. Flight number is this. Okay. QW123. Now the angle in which, okay, when you insert these two values, the automatically the row number, the version number, okay, or the row history. People would say row history. Row history. Okay. Row history is a timestamp column. This is a timestamp. Okay. Now what happens is automatically a unique number gets added here, which is a very unique number. So this is some unique number will get added. So when you modify either this or this number would change. Okay. When this number changed, then people will come to know that this row has been modified. Otherwise, they will not be. For example, when you insert, you will have 12. But when you say what happened to this format cells, so here say number. Okay. So when you insert this and automatically this number will be inserted. So when you modify either this or this, what happens is automatically this number would change to something else. So if this number is changing, you will come to know that this row has been modified. Okay. So this will indicate that this is the row version. What is the row version? This row has been modified. So each time when you modify either this or this, automatically this number would be changed. Okay. So this is a timestamp column. Automatically SQL Server will insert a new number whenever it changes. Okay. So you can identify this row has been modified. Tomorrow when you change something here 120 to 125, then this row will be modified like this. So that you will come to know there is a change in the row. Okay. So people can say that the row has been modified by somebody else. Okay. Like that you can go. So then we have bit is for to store true false. Are you smoker, or graduate, yes or no, postgraduate, yes or no, like that. And null also you can store. Next, we have unique identifier. What do you mean by unique identifier? I would like to create a unique number across the globe. Okay, so that number should not be there anywhere in this world. That kind of unique number I supposed to create, or I should be creating. So then you have to go in for GUID. You can have only one subcolumn. SQL Server will create this using a function called new ID function. Okay, this kind of number unique across the globe. That means you take this unique ID number, you can go to any country, any software, then you can search. This kind of number will not be there because this number will be created using MAC address and port number and everything. MAC address is unique across the globe. Okay, automatically you will have a unique identifier which is unique across the globe. Okay. Now we have XML data. XML you don't know, so we'll discuss about XML. To store XML, we have XML data also. Now we have a geometry geography, new in SQL Server 2008 to store maps, Google Maps and all. Okay. Then we have one more thing called hierarchy ID. So to get the level in the hierarchy, for example, we have Kavya is the boss. Under Kavya, Funny is working. Under Funny, I am working. So what is Kavya is in level 1. Funny is in level 2, Bhaskar is in level 3. So you can understand what is level of Funny, say level 2. What is level of Kavya, 0 or 1, whatever it is. Depends upon the levels, you can get the levels. Okay. And we have hierarchy. So if you wanted to practice, and you have to go in for the hierarchy. Okay. All these are called